People have to understand that in society there is, something, a concept that applies to a lot of the people that they see around. And this concept I heard as illusion people. Well, I have a personal concept called ghosts, but, the point is, illusion people in a way suits better, I think. Now, some people are still trapped in that idea that life and everything that they experience is an illusion and they live in some kind of matrix. Well, life is not an illusion, and what people may not comprehend about these illusion people, let me try to explain in as short as possible. See, illusion people are what this concept refers to as the most primitive kind of people you will ever meet. See, these people are burst out of the misery of other people, right? The previous generations, other generations, and so on and so forth. For thousands of years, people have dived further and further into misery, into ignorance, into running away from themselves because of, well, each and everyone teaching themselves that life is worthless, that they are not worthy of things, and this and that, and narcissistic leaders making use of occultism to feel people's pains. In occultism, there is a quote that says, if you want to understand a people's pain or a nation's pain, you have to eat their children. Some of them because they are pure karma, pure information, not energy. Only certain kinds of people will talk about energy because they're superficial. You're not interested in energy. Energy is a bit useless, honestly. Because everything is energy, that doesn't mean anything. Everything is information. Well, that's when things start getting interesting. And when you start infiltrating people's nations and you want to rule them, well, when you make use of the occult and let's say you conduct some rituals, you eat some of their children, you find out some of the pains of those people, you will do obviously nothing else than to simply exploit those pains, find out even more. Why you would eat flesh is because you absorb those pains, right? You become one with those. It is the typical function of such, or a part of these illusion people. See, these illusion people are the simplest awareness levels that there is. This is how much people have compressed themselves through fear of a better life, through feeling unworthy and the such, right? Ignorant mothers who forgot what it is like to be a woman, right? They ended up just following one simple priority, that to breed, right? So when it comes to these illusion people, one has to comprehend they have the awareness of what humans may call a demon. They're not necessarily demons themselves, but the quality of a woman's body will dictate, in most situations, the quality of the child. Yes, if the woman is demented, delusional, extremely, feeling the apex of unworthiness, obviously she will give birth to a future monster. And those people will have such a low awareness that in time they will give birth to people of equal or lower, let's not call it vibration. That level of awareness of what I call a demon is, imagine of the Labubu toy, right? It's just like that. Demons have been portrayed as being overly powerful, super powerful, and the such, just to keep people, humans, and the such afraid. But the point is, these entities, these beings, live only based on one or at most two impulses, right? When you look at yourself as a human, you may have several impulses. Typically, all of them have at their core a fear of a better life, right? They are defensive mechanisms that will protect you against that which you cannot comprehend. When you are simply stuck in the idea that your life is worthless and you're not worthy of anything better, right? You will create all sorts of self sabotage sequences that will disallow you from running away from the script you already know. In the miserable life that you have, obviously all the scripts are already known. So it's easy to simply stay put, to stay there, to minimize yourself instead of going for something better, which requires more responsibilities that most likely you're not willing to assume. So these people, so called people, or better said, impulses within a human body, well, they have only one simple frequency, or whatever you may call it. They are simply, their whole life is guided by one or two, at most two impulses. And the first primordial impulse is that to obey. That is why you see so many people, they just walk around like drones, but they become hyperactive when there is someone that will give them orders. And you will see how destructive this can be, and you've probably seen them in the pandemic when many of these people, under the guise of law enforcers, right? They simply did so many miserable things, right? You have to comprehend within those people, right, there is an impulse, not a soul, or whatever you may call human consciousness. It is just one simple impulse. The primordial impulse of misery is obey. Yes, that is the point. Because in what you may call demon hierarchy, obey is their main order, right? Their main impulse. And then the other one is fetishizing power, right? Because in unconsciousness, in ignorance, when you look at all animal societies, what do you see? Some obey, some rule, right? And some have an impulse to rule, but not all of those will reach rulership, right? And most, like 99.9, will always have that to obey. There is nothing else, no other awareness, no other impulse in them, just to obey. They comprehend the language that they have to do, and they know somewhat by default what they have to do, or they will learn what they will have to do, but within them there is one single command line, or whatever you may call it, one single thought, that of obeying and doing whatever they are said. That is why you see so many people do so many bad things in the world, because these people are easy to observe by the people who run all the money in the world. Because those people who run the money in the world, behind all governments and the such, they have an equal awareness. That is why there's such a cohesion in between them. Because the lower the mindset goes, it goes even beyond narcissism, because narcissism requires a certain awareness, right? Below that, there are just pure impulses. That is why those people don't have any emotion. They don't have any thought at all. That is their only priority, either to obey or to conduct something. Some of them are just agents of pure destruction. Whatever, the only thought pattern that they can have is to destroy something, to kill someone, or their desires, or their points of view. That is why even you, a lot of you, felt that you were born in such a family with people, when you had probably even parents or other people around you, relatives, brothers, sisters, or, well, neighbors and the such. The only thought that you could perceive in them was that, right? Destroy, exterminate, kill, hate, self sabotage, right? That one same thing. Yes, one same thing. Just like with some people, there is just sex, right? Like you see some of those people playing, submissive or, any BDSM role in, porn movies and the such. That is their level of awareness. And, well, that industry requires such drones because they are the perfect fit. They don't have any other point of view. They don't have any empathy. They don't have any emotions. This is the hardest thing for most people to comprehend, because in their minds, also being somewhat primitive leveled because of a sick society that won't ever allow them to perceive beyond the mundane, people think that if they see another human body, it will act the same as them. Because simple minded people will always identify themselves with their body, and when they see another human body, they will think it is at least that much as them. But you have to comprehend these people don't have, it's not that they don't have, they cannot access those emotions because the awareness level of that which they are is so low. Yes? It's like you're a level 1 player in a level 300 armor. You don't know any of the abilities or the capabilities of that, but you simply live within that, right? It's like a parasite simply existing in a hyper complex system that it cannot access any specifics of the system. It will only do that which it knows. And a parasite only knows one thing: survive. Yes? And its survival means extermination of anything that will pose a threat. Even the complexity of its victim will also or will or may sound as a threat in some parasite situations, right? Because when you think at yourself, the impulse to self-sabotage, what is it? You're hiring some mental parasites, right? That will seek to destroy any of your complexities just to keep you in that lower level of experience that you have called as comfortable. It's not those parasites' fault. You created them with your mind and with your fear of a better life, right? So that same equal kind of thought is implanted, or well, let's say is brought into those children, because the quality of the mother giving them birth is so painfully low, right? Also, obviously, she will seek similar partners, and well, things will end up the way they end up, right? Some miserable children will be born, which will end up in, adults that are nothing else but drones. Either obey, either fetishize power, either suffer from any other such impulse. Because you have to comprehend those aren't even under control of those physical bodies. They are just an impulse, one single impulse in a single physical body. Imagine your obsession to smoke or sexual aspects or whatever you may imagine, right? Whatever impulse you may suffer from. Imagine that that single impulse, no other thought of you is within such a physical human body, right? Just that, just that. That is why you see some people, they can only think about sex. Some people, they can only think about killing others. Some people, they can only think about destroying something. Some people can only think about stealing something. Some people, some of these have two impulses. One is the most important, that typically to feel some kind of pain, right? And the other one is to do anything that will lead them to pain, like hurting other people just so that they get hurt back, or stealing stuff just to experience what it's like to, be punished, or things like that. Because many life forms actually, maybe you're wise in this current life, but who knows? Maybe thousands of lifetimes ago, you were something like this. Yes? These impulses, these forms of existence will not evolve. They will just be that, right? Because a virus is not gonna evolve in a human being. It's just gonna live its life, it's gonna do what it can, and well, sooner or later it will simply, well, vanish. And that is how things are, right? The point is, you have to elevate the vibration of humans. You have to conduct, education is not going to help you much, because education doesn't elevate the awareness of humans in most situations. People have to be allowed to live in worlds that are more vibrationally positive, right? There's a reason why in Western Europe they removed the bells from the temples, right? And they melted them down, because those bells, when they would be tolled, they would create a certain level of harmony. Because back in those times, people were equally ignorant. Don't think that people and these impulses wouldn't inhabit human bodies as well. But there was a certain amount of harmony that disallowed them to go even lower. Now, in this society of temptations and machines, machines have somewhat of a low vibration. It's not that they're evil or bad, they're just a tool, but you have to comprehend these machines and this societies that have been like overwhelmed by these machines. They are not going to be too compatible with you if you seek to follow a purely spiritual path. Why do you see most of the spiritual masters far away from cramped societies? And only a few of those ever walk in societies, because they have reached a certain level where nothing energetically of a society can actually influence them anymore, right? That requires a whole level of stability and mastery. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Jan Bort signing out.